To view your holiday and absence settings, first you have to go to the Settings tab. Then, the tab at the top will take you to your holiday and absence settings. In here, we can set the default normal working hours daily, the default working pattern. Working patterns can be created from this list. To create a work pattern, simply click on the list and go down to Add New Work Pattern. From here, we can clone details from an existing work pattern. We can give this new work pattern a name. The key fields here will be the hours field and the days field. The hours field will correspond to the hours worked for each day, and the days field will result in days holidays lost should this day be booked for annual leave. The start, end and break can be entered for display purposes, but will not affect anything else in the system. If you have rotating work patterns, you can also add several weeks to one work pattern. Once your work pattern is saved, you will now be able to select it from the list. You'll have to enter a reason for setting the default. Below this, we can set the maximum duration of consecutive annual leave, the maximum holiday carryover in days, and the maximum holiday carryover in hours. We can set your company's holiday year and the default public holiday template. To create a new template, simply select the list and select Manage this list. Then click the plus icon to create a new template. Then give the template a name, and then click the Add Day button to add the days in the year for these public holidays. We can then select the date from the calendar, and then give this a name. And the rest can be done for all of the other public holidays that appear in the year. Then save it. Click Done. Now you can select your new public holiday templates from the list. England and Wales will always be populated by PeopleHR. Below here we can specify whether the total holiday entitlement is inclusive of the public holidays or not. And below here we can enter the percentage factor that is used to calculate holiday accruals for hours worked. Below this we have the option to enable the alert for holiday return to work forms if your company's policy requires it. We can also enable the ability to authorize leave requests from emails. In the toil period box, we can set the default number of weeks after which time off in lieu will expire. Then below this, we can decide whether Bradford factor is displayed on employees' profiles and whether we want to receive alerts for the Bradford factor. Below this we can state the Bradford factor calculation period over rolling months, and we can also edit the trigger values and alerts that correspond to each value. Click the Edit tab. We can manually amend any of these values and the alert we wish to receive. And finally, we can create and apply length of service rules in the system. To do this, Just make sure these rules are in use. And then we can create the rules by clicking the Add button. You have to give a rule a name. And state the maximum annual leave entitlement an employee can receive regarding this rule. For example, a standard entitlement of 25 days, plus the maximum of 5 days can be rewarded from this rule, would equal a maximum of 30 days. Then simply click the Add button to create the rule itself. Specify in months of length of service. Reward how many days. Then save the rule and apply it. Once these rules have been created, they have to be applied to the employee. In the administrator settings, here we can see which individuals have administrator access, and the administrator with the notifications tab next to their name is the main notifications administrator. We can also add administrators from here. Simply select the employee in the system to add as an administrator and decide if you want them to be the notifications administrator or not. In the licenses settings, you can see which licenses are enabled for your system, as well as activating and deactivating self-service. If we revert back, we will see that the welcome message button disappears, as this can only be sent out once self-service is activated. This will be your go-to place when rolling out date occurs. In the company settings, we can decide some of the company defaults. We can upload the company logo, which will appear on the login menu, as well as on the recruitment site. In the company statement box, we can enter the mission statement that will appear on administrator dashboards. And in the industry tab, we can choose from the list of industries grouped together and specify which industry your company best falls into. This will only be used for the comparable stats in the center of the dashboard on administrator's login. Below here we can specify the date format and the base currency. Base currencies can be added to the list if they don't already exist in there. Then below there, the password reset will reset all passwords for all users in the system. Below here we can toggle the org chart on or off, and can also add a link to an external org chart if you already have an existing one. In this file box here, we can upload a metadata file to allow PeopleHR to work in unison with single sign-on programs that are used, for example OneLogin or Azure. And below there we can dictate the default probation period in months or weeks. Below here we have the function to enable a feature called two-factor authentication. This is a function that is either on for all users or off for all users. This allows PeopleHR to work in unison with an app called Google Authenticator. It is available on Android and Apple stores, and this will generate a two-factor six-figure code when logging in, following the entrance of the email address and password. This code expires after 30 seconds. And below here we can decide the default access to the company planner. We can choose between employee access, viewing team events including or excluding sick, viewing all employee events including or excluding sick, or viewing all departments events including or excluding sick. At default, they will only see team events including or excluding sick, and the manager default is team events including sick. These can also be changed. Then very lastly, in the company settings, we can toggle whether other event reasons are shown against an employee in the company planner or not. Below here in the timesheet settings, we can create the lists of projects, tasks and details for employees to select from when logging timesheets and assignments on the planner. In the Thanks tab, we can decide whether thanks is in use or not. We can view the current badges and edit any of the information in there, including the picture that corresponds, the name of the badge, the description, and select from the list of skills and personnel and team that relate to this badge. We can also remove any of the currently existing badges, and we can also create brand new ones from scratch. In the API section, we can create API keys for integrations with other systems that work with PeopleHR. To create a new API key, simply click the plus icon and give the key a name, and select the areas of the system that will need to draw information and send to the integrated system. Once created, your keys will appear in the list like this. And also at the top, we have the space to include webhook URLs. In the email settings, we have the option to enable recap emails. These can be daily for administrators, weekly for managers, and weekly for employees. And below here, we can set up the email account that will be used when sending emails to applicants from the recruitment module. Simply enter all of the following details and test the connection before using. Mobile settings, we can decide if mobiles are in use. This will allow individuals to log in through the mobile PeopleHR app using their live site credentials. You can decide whether the app will show phone numbers in the company directory tab. Then you can decide whether the company directory tab is shown in the app entirely. Then lastly, in the News tab, we can decide if news is in use and if managers can publish news. If we allow managers to post news, we can decide whether they can publish news to their direct reports to the same department, same location, or company-wide.